Today we're talking about the PreSonus Monitor Station version 2. So if you want to learn if this is something you should add to your studio setup, stick around after this introduction.
Imagine softly.
Welcome everybody, I'm Dan Spencer and I am the Audio Sorcerer. So this is the channel where I teach you how to perfect your audio recording, mixing, and mastering skills. So before we get to the video, make sure you guys smash that like button, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I have new videos coming out. So without further ado, today we're talking about the PreSonus Monitor Station version 2. So I do want to mention before we get further into the video that if you do end up liking this product, I have a link in the description below where you can go purchase it. So just keep that in mind. So the first question is, what is the PreSonus Monitor Station? Well, it's essentially a device that allows you to consolidate all of your studio monitoring into one place. So what do I mean by that? Well, it has 3 outputs for studio monitors. So you can have 3 sets of monitors or have a sub and main monitors. You can pretty much do any combination you want. It has 4 separate headphone outputs, and then it has a couple different outputs too, which we'll talk about later. And it supports 3 independent inputs. So this thing does quite a bit for this little unit here. So, look at it again, it's just overall a centralized monitoring system for your studio. So the next question is, well, do I need this or is my current setup fine? Well, if you're working with maybe just 1 pair of monitors and headphones, then you're probably fine. But if you're looking to expand, then this is something you're definitely going to want to add. Because if you're going to have a second set of monitors, then you definitely want something like this. If you want to do independent headphone mixes from your main mix, then you need something like this, okay? That's the scenario. And if you want to work with other musicians in a studio scenario, this does have a built-in talkback mic, you might want something like this because it gives you further control and allows them to have, again, their own headphone mix. And then again, you have 4 separate headphone outputs on it. And then, it's a lot. So that's a scenario where you would want it, okay? So kind of what I want to do in this video is I want to give you a look at the device physically, and I want to explain to you what all of the different controls on it do and kind of how they work. So you'll kind of have a good idea, what this does. Yeah, you can read a manual, you can look at pictures, but it's a lot easier when someone just lays it out and explains it to you. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. So with that being said, let's actually take a look at the unit. All right, so looking at the PreSonus Monitor Station version 2 here physically, we're going to look at the top of the unit first, and then we're going to look at the back of the unit. So looking at the left-hand side here, we have our Q source, and the Q source is essentially your headphone source, assuming you have an independent headphone mix from your main mix, okay? And what we have for this is either stereo input 1, stereo input 2, or aux input. Now these are not mutually exclusive. You can actually route all 3 of these to the Q source, 2, whatever you want, okay? So overall this unit supports 3 different sources. So going down to this section here, this is our volume control for our aux input. And then here we can choose between aux or SPDIF. So the aux source can be either the aux or SPDIF, and the aux supports 2 different connectors. It supports RCA or 1/8 inch mini, okay? So going up here, we have 4 different headphone outputs, and we have individual volume controls for each and individual source selectors for each. So you can either select between the Q source or the main source for your headphones. And then next to that, we have the Q output. So I'll talk about what the Q output is a little bit later when we get to the back of the unit. So let's move down to the main section here. So the main source here is actually what's going to be going to your speakers, or there's also a stereo 1/4 inch output on the back called main, and this will feed that. Now it is a straight pass-through. There is no volume control on this unit that affects that output. Okay, so it's just straight through, all right? And then over here on the right-hand side, we have our speaker select. We have A, B, and C. So this thing supports 3 monitor outputs. Now you could actually have all 3 active at one time if you want to. Now you may ask yourself, why would I want to hear 3 monitors at one time? Well, it's not for that scenario, okay? So you might want to put your main monitors on speaker A, and then if you have a sub, it's recommended you put it on speaker C, and then you would enable both of those, okay? So that's how you would use a speaker and sub scenario together, all right? And then going to the bottom here, we have our mono button here, which will allow you to hear mix in mono. This controls your speaker volume here. This allows you to mute your speakers. This allows you to dim your speakers by the amount attenuated set by this knob right here. And then you have a built-in talkback mic here, and the mic is located right here. If you press the talkback button here, you hold it down, you can talk to people through their headphones, and this is the volume control for the microphone here, okay? So this is pretty much everything you need to know about the front of the unit here. So let's take a look at the back of the unit and talk about the connectors on it. All right, so looking at the back of the unit here, on the left-hand side, we got the power section. On the top, we have the power switch, and then on bottom, we have the power supply input, and this does come with a power supply. Next to that, we have our line outputs. On the left-hand side, we have our main output, and on the right, we have our Q output. So as mentioned earlier, the main output is a straight pass-through. It is unaffected by any volume control on the unit. So I don't have any particular use cases for myself for this output, but the manual suggests that you could hook something up like a recorder to it. Now the Q output will be something that you would want to hook up potentially a headphone amplifier to, okay? So if you want to get more headphone outputs, that's what you would use it for. And these outputs are 1/4 inch. Next to that, we have our speaker outputs. So we have A, B, and C here, and these are also 1/4 inch. This does not support XLR, but these are balanced outputs, so you'll be fine. And then next to that, each output has a trim knob. So I think these trim knobs are for if you have non-powered studio monitors to get you some extra level going out. So most of us have powered studio monitors, so you shouldn't have to use these. And as you can see, I have these all the way down. Next to that, we have our aux source, which is treated as just an aux source, even though it combines it with the SPDIF here. So for the aux, you can see we have RCA connectors, and then we have our 1/8 inch mini connector there, and then of course our SPDIF connector there. And then lastly, these are inputs here. On the left-hand side, we have our stereo input 1, and on the right-hand side, we have our stereo input 2. So typically how I would use this is for stereo input 1, I would send from my audio interface outputs 1 and 2, and this is essentially going to be my main source, which I'm going to feed to my studio monitors. And then for stereo input 2, I would use outputs 3 and 4 from my audio interface and let this be my Q source, which I would then send to my headphones, okay? And I did a video in Cakewalk on how to do a headphone mix, and it's popping up in the top right corner now. So if you guys want to learn how to do a headphone mix from your DAW going to a PreSonus Monitor Station, check out that video after this one. And what I teach in that video will work in any DAW, all right? So that is pretty much everything you need to know about the PreSonus Monitor Station version 2 physically. All right, so that was my review / tutorial on the PreSonus Monitor Station version 2. So I hope you guys liked this video and I hope you guys learned something. And just a quick little recap here. Again, this unit is for people who want to expand their monitoring environment. If you're working with just one set of studio monitors or a set of headphones or maybe those together, you probably can get away with just your audio interface and be fine. But if you're looking to expand, this is a great product and you should definitely look further into it. All right, so if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe because I'm making this content for you, and hit that notification bell to know when I have new videos coming out. And if you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out my video on the IK Multimedia ARC 3 so you can learn how to tune out your studio monitors. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.